Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Get ready to buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into the wild, wacky, and sometimes downright unbelievable world of airport security. We're talking about the craziest things TSA agents have ever found in luggage, and let me tell you, you won't believe some of this stuff. We're talking about things that'll make you laugh, things that'll make you cringe, and things that'll make you wonder, what were they thinking? And the best part? Every single story we're about to unpack actually happened. Real people, real airports, real head-scratching discoveries. So, before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the crazy stories we've got coming your way. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Alright folks, kicking things off with a story that'll make you say, what in the world? Picture this, you're at the airport, just trying to get to your gate, when suddenly, you hear the distinct sound of a chainsaw revving up. No, you haven't wandered onto the set of a horror movie, this is real life, people. So, there's this guy, just your average traveler, right? Except he's decided to bring his trusty chainsaw along for the ride, and we're not talking about one of those little electric ones you use to trim branches in your backyard. No, this was a full-on, gas-powered, lumberjack-style chainsaw. Naturally, the TSA agents were a little taken aback. I mean, you can't just waltz through security with a chainsaw like it's a tube of toothpaste. When they asked the guy why on earth he had it, he simply said he needed it for a project at his destination. Now I don't know about you, but that's one vague project description. Needless to say, the chainsaw didn't make it onto the plane. The guy was pretty bummed, but hey, rules are rules, right? I guess he had to improvise on that project. Okay, get ready for this one because it's a real slitherer. We all know airport security can be a bit of a drag, but imagine being the TSA agent who stumbles upon this next little surprise. They're doing their job, scanning bags, when suddenly, they spot something moving on the X-ray screen. And it's not a forgotten water bottle or a loose battery. Nope, it's a whole bunch of snakes. Live, wriggling snakes just casually hanging out in a passenger's pants. Turns out, this individual was trying to smuggle these slithery creatures onto the plane, and honestly, I'm not sure what's more shocking. The fact that they tried it, or the fact that they thought they could actually pull it off. I mean, snakes in your pants, really? That's a whole new level of traveling light. The TSA agents, bless their hearts, handled the situation like pros, but I'm sure they needed a serious coffee break after that one. The snakes, on the other hand, were probably pretty bummed to miss their flight. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this next story is straight out of a horror movie. We're talking about a passenger who decided to bring along some rather unusual souvenirs, human skull fragments. Yes, you heard that right. Actual pieces of a human skull, just chilling in their luggage. Now before you start picturing Indiana Jones-style adventures, let me clarify that these weren't ancient artifacts or anything. According to the passenger, they were simply family heirlooms. Family heirlooms? Who needs photo albums when you can have a skull collection, am I right? Anyway, the skull fragments were discovered during a routine bag check, neatly tucked away in a clay pot. Imagine the look on the TSA agent's face when they opened that up. Talk about a conversation starter. The passenger was eventually cleared of any wrongdoing, but they definitely earned themselves a spot on the most interesting passengers list. Alright folks, this next story is a real blast from the past, literally. Picture this. You're a TSA agent just going about your day, when you come across what appears to be a cannonball in someone's luggage, and not just any cannonball mind you, but a Civil War-era cannonball. Now I'm no history buff, but even I know you can't just bring a piece of artillery on a plane. The passenger, however, seemed completely oblivious to this fact. They claimed they found the cannonball while metal detecting, and thought it would make a cool souvenir. Hey, I appreciate a good souvenir as much as the next person, but a cannonball? That's a bit excessive, don't you think? Needless to say, the airport went into full-blown panic mode. Bomb squad was called, flights were delayed, and the poor passenger probably had some explaining to do. The moral of the story? Think twice before packing that unique souvenir. Hold your seahorses, everyone, because this next tale is about an underwater discovery that's sure to make you go, huh? Imagine being the TSA agent tasked with inspecting a bag that smells suspiciously like the ocean. You cautiously unzip the bag, and what do you find? A whole bunch of dried seahorses just chilling out like it's nobody's business. Now I know what you're thinking. Dried seahorses? What's so weird about that? Well, it turns out that these little creatures are often trafficked illegally for use in traditional medicine and as souvenirs. So, while it might seem like an odd thing to find in someone's luggage, it's actually a serious matter. The passenger, of course, had a perfectly reasonable explanation. They were just bringing them back for a friend, as a little gift. Sure, a bag full of dried seahorses, the perfect present for any occasion. The authorities, however, weren't buying it. The seahorses were confiscated and the passenger probably had to settle for a less exotic gift for their pal. Okay folks, this next story is a reminder that even fake weapons can cause some very real chaos at the airport. Imagine being in line for security when suddenly, you spot what looks like a grenade in someone's bag. Panic ensues, people start screaming, and the whole place erupts into a frenzy. That's exactly what happened when a passenger unknowingly brought along a couple of realistic-looking fake grenades. Turns out they were just harmless replicas, meant to be used as props or decorations. But let me tell you, they looked terrifyingly real on the X-ray machine. The airport was immediately put on lockdown, and security personnel swarmed the area like it was a scene out of an action movie. The passenger, understandably shaken by the whole ordeal, had to do a lot of explaining to convince everyone that it was all just a big misunderstanding. Moral of the story? Leave the fake weapons at home, folks. Get ready for a story that's equal parts shocking and adorable. Imagine being a TSA agent going through the usual routine when suddenly you stumble upon a suitcase that seems to be breathing. You cautiously open it up, and lo and behold, you find a tiny tiger cub curled up inside. Now, before you start picturing a scene from The Lion King, let me clarify that this poor little cub was heavily sedated. Turns out, someone was trying to smuggle it into the country illegally. I mean, who wouldn't want a pet tiger, right? The authorities were immediately alerted and the cub was taken to a local zoo to receive proper care. The would-be smuggler, on the other hand, probably ended up in a place not quite as nice as a zoo. This story is a reminder that wildlife trafficking is a serious issue, and we all have a role to play in protecting endangered species. Alright folks, get ready to dive into a story that's not for the faint of heart. We're talking about a passenger who decided to bring along some rather unusual travel companions, a jar full of preserved bats. Yes, you heard that right, actual bats, floating in some kind of mysterious liquid. Now I'm not sure what's more disturbing, the fact that someone thought this was an acceptable thing to pack, or the fact that they managed to get it through security in the first place. The jar of bats was discovered during a routine bag check, and let's just say the TSA agents were less than thrilled with their find. The passenger, when questioned, claimed that the bats were for scientific research. Right, because nothing says scientific research like a jar full of dead bats in your carry-on luggage. Needless to say, the bats were confiscated and the passenger probably had to come up with a new research topic. Get ready to dive into a story that's truly off the scales. Imagine being a TSA agent and noticing something fishy about a passenger's attire, literally. This woman thought she could outsmart airport security by strapping water-filled bags filled with 240 live fish under her skirt. That's right, folks. This passenger was trying to smuggle a whole school of fish through the airport, and not in the overhead compartment. Can you imagine the sloshing sounds as she walked? The jig was up when the bag started leaking, creating a rather suspicious puddle around her feet. The look on the TSA agent's face must have been priceless. I can just picture it now. Ma'am, what exactly do you have going on under there? The woman, caught fin-handed, had no choice but to come clean about her fishy scheme. Okay folks, we're wrapping up this wild ride with a story about a passenger who took the phrase, hiding something in plain sight, to a whole new level. This individual thought they could sneak a small fortune in gold bars through airport security by, wait for it, hiding them in their underwear. That's right folks, we're talking about a whole lot of gold, tucked away in a place where the sun don't shine. I guess they figured no one would want to look there, right? Well, they underestimated the power of the X-ray machine. The image on the scanner must have been quite a sight, a human outline with what looked like a solid gold core. The TSA agents, understandably suspicious, asked the passenger to step aside for further inspection. And let's just say, the jig was up pretty quickly. Turns out, honesty really is the best policy, especially when it comes to airport security. Well folks, there you have it. 10 of the craziest, wildest, and most unbelievable things ever found by airport security. Who knew traveling could be so entertaining, right? From chainsaws to cannonballs, snakes to skull fragments, this list had it all. Now it's your turn. What do you think is the craziest thing airport security has ever found? Let me know in the comments below. I'm dying to hear your thoughts. And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.